Welcome to the Investor Coaching Show, a podcast to help you get an insider's view of the financial world and escape common investment traps. And here's your host, Paul Winkler.
And welcome to the Investor Coaching Show. Paul Winkler. Talk about money, investing, retirement planning, watch Evan dance to the music. You're on video doing that, you know.
That's all right.
All right, man. As long as you're okay with that. Anne's just laughing.
My bald spot's not towards the camera, so I don't care.
Oh, thanks for reminding me. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really kind of you. Anyway, so there is, squirrel moment. No, squirrel's not outside yet. Probably will be soon. Do you know that we got a squirrel that sees activity here on a Saturday and actually looks in the door to see if we're going to throw out some kind of...
Yeah.
I knew you had one that did that during the week, but apparently he does it
he
7 days
He has figured out the weekend shift as well. Yeah, it's gotten worse.
I text Cindy pictures when we're sitting here.
Do you see? Yeah. I'm glad you're paying close attention.
Absolutely.
Did you guys notice? It was all the headlines in the Wall Street Journal regarding the cryptocurrencies. Kind of a little bit of a rough run, huh?
No kidding.
Some of the stuff that we've been expecting, and just kind of figure it was a matter of time, has been happening. And a lot of people a little bit upset about it from what I'm seeing. I've been reading various publications and seeing what's being said out there. Bitcoin falls below 20,000. So wasn't it at like 70-something thousand? I think it was somewhere in that neighborhood.
It was pushing 70. I think it was 65, 66, somewhere around there.
Somewhere in that. It was pretty doggone close. But
they were saying 20, a lot of people are panicking and liquidating.
Doggy coin, no, Dogecoin, whatever however they like to.
Coin.
I mean, it's whatever however they want to. I'm joking, but there was an investor that is suing Elon Musk. Did you see that in Market Watch?
Yeah,
I mean, really. Hey, let's see.
For a quarter of $1 trillion.
I lost a ton of money. Let's see. Who can I go? Who's got enough money?
Well, you have to look for the deep pocket.
Yeah, you got to look for the deep pocket, right?
Exactly.
Oh, there you got it too. Okay, all right, Evan. Yeah, Tesla space $258 billion, claiming it's a pyramid scheme. Now, this is the interesting part of this whole thing. The investor suing Elon Musk and two of his companies, Tesla and SpaceX, for $258 billion, accusing them of operating a pyramid scheme to inflate the price of a cryptocurrency. So I'm thinking Elon Musk, most of his wealth is really in stock, right?
It's in his company. Yeah.
So how is he going to pay off? He's going, no, wait a minute. It's really not a good idea to own a fake currency, and it's a better idea to own a real company. Yeah. Who's got a real company that I can...
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's where my mind went as I'm reading this. So it filed Thursday by Keith Johnson in Manhattan Federal Court, accuses Musk and his companies of committing fraud, as well as violating federal and state racketeering and gambling laws. Yeah, gambling.
Yeah.
You're talking about you're investing in cryptocurrencies.
When talking about cryptocurrencies.
Have you just admitted that you were gambling the whole time?
Exactly.
Evan?
Yeah, I was actually kind of looking forward to this topic coming up.
So there we go. I think I figured I'd throw it on.
And I was glad you were here today, Ann, because
exactly.
The line that jumped out at me in this article was defendants falsely and deceptively claim that Dogecoin is a legitimate investment when it has no value at all.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm
yes, that was literally in the article.
In the complaint. And I'm curious.
The complaint with the,
So how does what would be the entire crypto implications of some court ruling that, you're right, there's no value at all to these things? I mean, that's a lot of repercussions from that.
That would be huge.
Really?
That would be huge, because that would then be an argument you could make for every crypto.
Yeah.
I mean, that would probably put them all under, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's not based or tied to anything of value, quote unquote. It's simply a fraud whereby greater fools are deceived into buying the coin at a higher price.
Where
Well,
have
and
we heard
then
that
you-
before?
Yeah.
But then
how
you
many
think,
times
too, of the
have I said that?
implication
Yeah.
now that the DOL has allowed, or at least they're trying to get a lot of 401k plans to allow some crypto.
Right.
And then
Fidelity
if
was
you have
actually
a
doing
court
that. Yeah.
say it's basically worthless,
Right.
and the DOL is allowing 401k providers to do it, then that's lawsuits against
I mean,
corporations.
Or the
well,
custodian.
because they get the fiduciary
Yeah,
responsibility. Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Where does this make sense? I'm still trying to figure it out. Musk, the world's richest individual, has tweeted about Dogecoin numerous times over the past few years, often sparking a rally in the coin's price. In April 2021, he dubbed himself the Doja Father, while promoting. That's a nice moniker. While promoting his upcoming appearance on Saturday Night Live, Dogecoin tumbled the day after the show aired, after it was called a hustle. So I think that's his defense. I don't know. I'm joking. I don't know. But it was created as a joke, it says in the article, but it exploded in popularity. And everybody knows it was created as a joke. This is not a secret. So I really wonder how on earth this could possibly turn out to anybody's benefit.
Yeah.
But, I've seen crazy. I remember, it was like when I went to school and got my property and casualty license. And, because I'll say, gee, I don't know how this could possibly be a winnable lawsuit. But then there was the lawsuit that we learned about in P&C school, where this guy's walking on the roof of a building of a company he was going to rob, falls through the skylight and sues the company.
I know, you do.
Okay,
They
whatever.
don't always make
Wow.
sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense
But
quite often.
is this in a New York court or?
Yeah, it was
it's a-
Manhattan Federal Court.
Yeah, it's a federal
is
court.
what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it said right
It's
I
a
there.
don't-
federal,
What are they?
yeah.
The fifth? What are they? The fifth district? What's New York?
I don't
I
know.
can't remember.
That's her.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
just here for.
I just think that a federal court would be more likely to see the implications and know a New York securities or federal court in Manhattan, where Wall Street is.
Mhm.
I would find it hard to believe that they would.
Have a lot of sympathy.
Yeah.
Okay, got
because-
it. That's
Now,
good-
that
that's a
being
good point.
said, we've had crazy things come out of a lot of courts, but that one I think would understand the issue a lot more
Right.
than a lot of them.
Wow.
So
Yeah. So speaking of retirement, new ways to create retirement income can make your 401k pay off like a pension plan, Wall Street Journal. So the idea behind pensions plans is companies put away a lot of money on your behalf. Some companies do. It's different. There are different ways that they're actually handled. So you have employees, they put away money on your behalf so they continue your paycheck into retirement. So basically they're deferring your compensation till a later period in time. Now, a lot of companies, the way they did it is back in the early days. Yeah, some of them had COLAs on in the early days because
Yeah.
of some of the union, like I was talking about last hour, is you talked about the union
exactly.
stuff, where you had negotiating to get COLAs in there. The more recent ones, you don't see it at all. But the idea being that you could have an income that goes into retirement and continues to increase in retirement, and you have that a lot with governments. And the pension program has basically gone the way of the dinosaur because companies can't afford to do that anymore. They can't afford to put that money aside. And what typically they'll do is they may have a pension, but a lot of times they lump sum it out, get the money out of the plan and give it to you and go, hey, we'll pay you an income. And they're basically buying an annuity, a fixed annuity. And the problem with annuities, of course, is that if you look at history with annuities, you're looking at something that doesn't have a COLA in it. You have some problems, especially when you could live off of less than $10,000 in the 1970s. And now it takes $60,000, $70,000 to live. And Lord only knows, after all of this inflation kind of finishes doing what it's going to do, how much it's going to take on an annual basis to live.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a situation where it's very precarious if your retirement money is all coming in in the not the old type of pension that had a COLA, but the old, because you may be thinking pensions are just fine. My parents did fine. And you may be thinking that because maybe your parents, like mine,
Right.
did.
Yeah, mine too.
Had a cost of living increase in their pension. So they were fine. But you don't have the same type of pension. It's a different thing. They ought to come up with a different word. A stagnant pension or something like stag pension.
Pinchflation.
That it ought to be different so people understand this is not your parents' pension. And, it's sometimes they use that in marketing, go, this isn't your parents, whatever. But, they're talking about that this one's better. No, your parents were better.
Yeah.
You're better protected in those cases.
Well, they had the last 45 years until recently, wasn't the average inflation rate like 2 point?
Yeah, fairly low.
2.5,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So-
it was lower. Sure thing.
Yeah, so that made a huge difference too.
So if you look at this article is talking about one way to replicate the pension plan inside your 401k as an income-based investment, such as a portfolio built on bonds. I always love bonds because I could buy them and then I could mark them up and nobody ever really knew what I made. They were really good. You could hide your expenses wonderfully well with bonds. Tongue in cheek with that one. I really once I learned.
Yeah.
It was, oh my gosh, I can't believe we did this. And my managers were telling me to do this. And this was a good way of operating.
And that's 3 times the size of the stock market.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's huge. But companies also offering annuities, insurance contracts, and convert savings into lifelong payments similar to paycheck. And then they're talking about retirement savings programs that I see where, company comes in and says, hey, we'll charge you a management fee. We'll manage your portfolio. And really, if you look at the way the portfolio is managed, I've reviewed a lot of them and I don't see big differences between what you have if you want to make that mistake, let the fund company make the mistake at a lower cost is kind of the way I look at it. It says new Edelman service called Income Beyond Retirement joins similar offerings from managed account providers, including Morningstar and Fidelity Investments, all take into account the household assets outside the 401k and offer retirement income planning that includes recommendations for Social Security claims. And that's, I guess, nice for having some kind of recommendation on Social Security claims, but it's really not that complicated, not worth all the money that you pay for it. You'd be way better off going to a person that charged $175 to give you a recommendation on Social Security rather than paying tens of thousands of dollars.
And it has nothing to do with the article.
Yeah, exactly. It really has nothing to do with the article.
Creating a pension out of your 401k, and we'll do Social Security.
Yeah, we'll give you
planning.
Social Security analysis.
Okay, great.
Yeah, great. Well,
and I don't know if you noticed up front, the reason they're doing it isn't for the employee. It's because they want to keep the assets in the plan.
I had forgotten that was in there, Ann. Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. Because if they keep your money in their plan, they're spreading out the cost amongst more people and they can keep their costs lower. So it's actually benefiting them. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that back up. I had forgotten about that. I read this article a few days ago and I'd eaten since then.
So I think there's a bit of selfish motivation in there. It sounds like it's a wonderful thing for the employee, but
yeah, not exactly. Managed accounts are available in about half of 401k plans, according to research. They generally cost more than target date funds, hence my comment about you can get bad management for less expense earlier.
Self-destruct as cheaply as you can.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much the way I see it. And the fees many advisors charge are higher than those of managed accounts, as so my point there. Now, Evan, you said that you were talking. What caught your attention was something totally different.
Well, yeah, I actually want to touch on one paragraph in there as well because I think it speaks to the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Referring to the program itself that I think Financial Engines is doing. Income Beyond Retirement, in contrast, will allow retirees to invest more in stocks if they choose and vary their retirement income distributions as their needs change.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't sound like a pension to me. It sounds like every other retirement account on the planet where you can change your mix and change how much you take out.
Yeah, good point.
And self-destruct.
Yeah, excellent point. Yeah.
But in reading through that, I had fun going through the comment stream to the article. My favorite, I won't give these people's names, but 80% fixed income at age 65. Good luck with that.
Right.
Right.
That's what jumped out at me.
Right.
Mr. L. This article is a shameless advertisement for annuities and other old school schemes to the soon to be retired that will make them poorer quicker.
Mm,
Now, here was the
pretty
interesting
much.
thing.
Yeah. Good
Meanwhile,
comment.
nothing is being done at the front end to get 20-somethings on board to start saving.
Right.
You know, and you were mentioning that last hour
right,
as
right,
well
right.
about trying to get people involved.
Yeah.
Um,
Get them involved early and often, and the reality is a lot of this stuff, a
Right.
lot of these schemes you won't fall for, especially if you get educated along the way and understand what you're doing and why.
how do you sell annuities and still qualify as a fiduciary, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
you kind of
just
had a
basically-
mixed bag, but everyone kind of saw through this as this is just another set of smoke and mirrors, and
Right.
somebody's going to charge a new fee.
Right.
But it has nothing to do with if we hear the word pension,
Mm-hmm.
or as a tax nerd, when I hear income is a specific thing. It's not necessarily cash flow. It's not a distribution. It's
Right.
income.
Right.
And this program doesn't really create anything that they were saying it was designed to create.
Right. And a lot of times people are fooled by the
Oh, yeah.
verbiage. And
It's a sales pitch.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
Everyone wants income, right?
Yeah, it
know.
really is. And there is some interesting research that says you can start at and you had actually brought something regarding that. So there is interesting research regarding taking more of their portfolio and having it in fixed income in the early years of retirement, but getting to the point where you're 80% in fixed income, that's ridiculously high.
Especially for a newly retired.
Yeah, that was
Right.
right out of the gate.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is just absurd to go that high because, if you look at there's a chart that I always like to use, and it goes back and it basically looks at after inflation returns. And you can't visualize this, folks, but I want to just kind of paint the picture for you. Imagine a right triangle. You have one 90-degree, one angle is 90 degrees, right?
Right.
And it's a right triangle, so it looks like a ramp if you're, whatever. And in essence, what it is, you can actually take one year like 1932 and then take another year like 1976, and you can look at the average rate of return of various market segments, and you just go and look for the intersection of those two on this chart. And one chart is after inflation S&P 500, and the other chart is after inflation fixed income investments.
Right.
And what is always fun to show people, because it always gets a gasp out of them, is if I look at the S&P 500 and go, okay, so what was the average return after inflation from 1926 till today? It's 7.3% above inflation.
Right.
So money doubles about every 10 years after inflation in that area of the market. It's about every 9 years, 8-9 years for small cap stocks, and about 8 years or so for value, and about every 7 years or so for small value, and 6-7 years. So that's what time it takes to double. Whereas if you look at fixed income investments like treasuries, you're looking at about 136, 150 years. Well, that rate of return is actually, I've been quoting it forever, that
Right.
it's 0.4 above inflation, right?
Well,
It's
I think
actually dropped to 0.3.
Methuselah would do really
has it?
well with
It's
that.
dropped to 0.3. Yeah, Methuselah would be fine. If you're around for about 940 years, you're good. Well, not really.
At
but,
least it'd be enough data to see that your fund manager was actually creating return as
Well,
opposed to
that's
random.
true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
150 years.
Well, look at that. It doubled. How old am I, Methuselah? Well,